You're watching this video because you know that your life could be better. You always find yourself going onto social media and then scrolling for hours before you've even realized what's happening. Or you tell yourself that this is the last time that you'll ever relapse on NoFap.
This is the last time, I swear it on my life.
And then you relapse just hours later. And you've probably tried to kick these habits for good. You tried quitting porn, you tried deleting social media, you've tried quitting video games, you've tried to eat a clean diet. You've tried so many different methods of going about it, but nothing's working. And I was in exactly the same position as you. Just 2 years ago, I was trying to eat a healthy diet. I was trying to quit porn, trying to delete those social media apps like Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat that I knew were bad for me, but I kept going back. I kept listening to that voice in my head that was telling me to go back to these things that I knew deep down were bad for me and were only damaging my mental health and productivity. But no matter how hard I tried, the voice just kept winning. And this vicious cycle of wanting to stop and telling myself that this would be the last time, and then going back to it just days, maybe hours later, went on for a very long time. In fact, I'd been trying to eat a clean diet ever since I was 14. That's about 5 years. I'd been trying to quit porn and masturbation for more like 7 years. I'd wanted to leave all these bad influences around me and just focus on myself for a solid year before I actually did so. Now, don't let these lengths of time discourage you, because while that's how much time it took me to beat these bad habits, for the majority of the time, I had no clue what I was doing. I was just thinking of what I could, trying the same things over and over again with no success, and just wondering how the fuck there were people out there who'd overcome these addictions when I hadn't. But I was determined to eventually succeed. I knew that there must be an answer out there, something that once implemented would produce incredible results and would finally allow me to beat these addictions for good. And well, I found it. I found the protocol that you can undertake to free your mind of all these distractions and stimulations and become a much more productive minded and focused person who can actually sit down for hours at a time and do their work without losing focus, or who can sit down and read a book and not think of random thoughts after 2 lines, or who can happily say that they don't watch porn, don't use social media, don't play video games, don't eat junk food, or do anything which would fuck up their life quality and is destroying the most important thing of all, your mental health. But you came here for answers, and like the title says, the answer is a dopamine detox. But what is a dopamine detox? A dopamine detox means fasting from all of these stimulating activities which are causing these problems in your life. It means eliminating the instant gratification in your life, which is bringing your life quality down, in favor of activities which take time and effort to feel good from. It's to rewire your brain to feel good from the things which are genuinely good for you and improve your life quality in the long term, and enables you to feel a lot happier from doing less stimulating things. Because you'll know that after years of overstimulation and seeking constant dopamine hits through technology, you've become so accustomed to using these quick fixes to get your dopamine, these easy triggers that you can get whenever you choose. And the more that you consume these easy dopamine hits, the more that your brain needs in order to get the same feeling of satisfaction, which is why you're addicted to all of these things which are terrible for you, because your brain is conditioned to want to receive pleasure as often as possible, and especially from things which give it to you quickly, aka instant gratification. This is like watching porn, smoking weed, playing video games, scrolling on TikTok or Instagram. And through a dopamine detox, where you just take a break from all of these things, you'll instead learn to focus on delayed gratification, which are the things which take time and effort to feel good from, which make you feel better long term. You're delaying the reward for feeling better, and of which, for most activities in this category, are very beneficial for you. And when you do this, you'll start to realize just how much of a mental toll these instant gratification activities were taking on you. And with very quick results, you'll just start to feel happier. And the cycle will just continue, where you start to do more good stuff and less bad stuff naturally. Which, I don't know about you, but that sounds really good. Anyway, you probably want my actionable advice, and even though it's pretty simple, here it is anyway. For 1 week, stop doing the instant gratification activities, and that means all of them. All the porn, video games, junk food, weed, movies, YouTube, music, all of it. For the next 7 days at least, these are not going to be in your life. And I say the next 7 days because that will give you enough time to see what life is like without these distractions, and give your brain a good amount of time to actually reset. It will give you the chance to experience just what life is like without so much external influence and dopamine, which you probably haven't felt since you were a child. Now, the intent with this isn't so you do this for a week and then just go back to your normal life after the 7 days is over. Because what you'll find is when you get used to the effects, it will be a lot easier to continue after the week is over, unlike if you only did it for, let's say, a day or so. And in the long term, you will sustainably decrease the presence of these bad things in your life. Because once you've seen what life is like on the other side, you'll want to get rid of these things, because you'll have noticed just how much damage they were doing to you and are doing to you. And all it takes is 1 week. Now, the sad reality is that a lot of people watching this video are going to come up with reasons or excuses to not do this. But the truth is, if you want to keep doing the bad habits and you want to stay addicted, then go ahead. But while the action takers here are going to live a life of genuine freedom and happiness, you're going to be left behind miserable, all because you thought that 7 days was too much to sacrifice, which you'd prefer spending just wanking off the pixels on a screen, eating shitty food and destroying your health, and allowing yourself to be viewed as disgusting by the women who you could have potentially married and had children with if you just taken action. But the choice is yours, and I know which side I'd rather be on. Now, what you will find is that because of this, you will get bored. You're not used to having all of this time freed up in your day where you usually end up doing these bad habits. And so for most of the time, you're going to be left with your thoughts. And at first, this can be quite a scary experience for some people. For a lot of people, and maybe yourself, there's a lot of things hiding like in the back of your mind that you've managed to bury away and kind of forget about and just ignore because you've indulged in these dopamine inducing activities. But because that layer is no longer there to hide you from your true self and you've essentially peeled it back, you're going to have to acknowledge the thoughts that arise. And for most people, the very idea of this is just insane. Just sitting there and doing nothing, or going on a walk and just letting your mind wander. With no music, no podcast, no checking your phone. It's something that you rarely see outside of the elderly or Buddhist monks. Because unlike them, we're in the world of just constant distractions. And because we have that choice between either distracting ourselves and getting these feelings of instant pleasure, or, well, just doing nothing, why would anyone choose the latter? Well, because long term, it's significantly better for your mental health and well-being, and hence you'll be significantly happier. And it means that you can get pleasure by simply just doing nothing and actually being mindful and aware of your surroundings. And evidence has shown time and time again that the more present we are and the more grounded that we are in the moment, the happier we will be. And this is something that just simply can't be achieved when we're constantly on our phones. And I know that this sounds unsexy, but by just doing nothing and doing these delayed gratification activities, you'll actually feel really good from doing these things, and you'll feel better than otherwise by just sitting there, exercising, meditating, reading books, going on walks in nature. And I mean, just think, when was the last time that you sat down and read a book for hours at a time without losing focus? You'll finally be able to do these things which have been taken away from you by these modern distractions, because the option for those distractions will no longer be there. And while it makes sense that you would feel better from something that takes time and effort to do, because then you've actually earned it instead of just getting it, whenever you like, which is really what the social media companies wanted all along, which was to zap your attention, zap your focus, and keep you on their platform for as long as possible. And you only have to look at the average person's screen time to see that, well, they're doing a pretty good job at it. So by undertaking this 7-day dopamine fast, you'll finally reclaim your basic right as a human being, which is to be present in the moment. Because when you're present and you really take in the world around you, that is when you're living life to the fullest. And I can tell you with certainty that from my experience, completely getting rid of just all these distractions and seeing it through was the biggest contributor to how I overcame all my addictions. I have never felt happier than when I fasted from dopamine, which will sound crazy to some people that I'm able to never use social media and live a life with such minimal distractions. But trust me, this way of life is just so worth it. And I want you to experience it with me, because the more that we can get people to undergo this and just get them to see what life is like on the other side, the happier our world will be, and the more people that we'll have to create a stronger generation going forward. With that being said, I hope this protocol works for you, and I hope it helps you eliminate all the distractions in your life. If you have any questions or inquiries, my email is in the description. Thank you for watching, and stay focused.